Hi, have you ever wondered what the difference between the brain and the mind is? Because like these are two different words that everybody uses as the same. Like everybody uses them interchangeably. So like a lot of people use brain when they're meaning mind, and then they use mind to mean brain because a lot of people don't know what the difference is. And in today's world, you're going to hear a lot about like, we're being brainwashed, we're being mind controlled. But in order for you to even understand that, you have to understand the differences between the brain and the mind. Also, you have to understand what the brain, what roles the brain and the mind are very important parts of yourself. Like they're very important parts of your human experience. So like everything that happens in your reality, everything that happens in your life, it passes through the brain and the mind. So it's very important for you to understand what these things are, especially like your mind. That's where you experience everything. Your mind, that's where you understand everything, the world around you and the world within you. So it's very, very important for you to understand the differences. It's very important for you to understand what they are to begin with. Because like everybody has a brain and everybody has access to a mind. But the problem is like they don't teach us this stuff. They don't teach us this stuff in school. So like now it comes up to you to get to like, to get, so now it's up to you to learn these things. Now it's up to you to educate these things, because like a lot of people are still blaming school, they're still blaming their parents for not teaching them these things. But you find most of these people, they're like they haven't been in school for 10 years, they haven't been in school for 20 years. At this point it's up to you. Really, nobody is going to bring you this information unless if you do the research yourself. You have to understand these things because you have a brain and you have a mind. So like you can't expect somebody else to come teach you something that you already have within you. They can help you access it, they can help you remember, but it's up to you to learn your brain, to learn your own mind, so you know how to take care of your mind, so you know how what's going on in your mind. And what, because like a lot of people are scared to be in their mind. Like a lot of people think, especially like people who are so connected to their mental, who are so connected to their mind, they're usually overthinking. So a lot of people get scared to go in their mind. But that's where you kind of learn about everything, because like your mind knows so much stuff that you probably don't even know, so much stuff that you can't even comprehend. The human body in general, it knows so much that you can't even comprehend. So that's why they try so hard to keep you out of your mind. That's why all those mind control, all those tools, they're specifically to keep you away from being in your mind. So they try to distract you so you can stay outside, like, obsessed with everything outside of you instead of focusing within you. But that's why knowing what your mind is very important. In today's video, we'll be mostly focusing on the relationship between the mind and the brain, or the differences between the mind and the brain, because like this is a topic that has been discussed for years. Like this is a topic that neuroscientists have been discussing, philosophers have been discussing, spiritualists have been discussing, because again, every human has a brain and every human has a mind. But for some reason, there's still a misunderstanding about, like, the difference in their relationship. So that's why it's very important for you to understand this. So buckle up, we're going to be learning new information every single day, because this information is to remind you who you are and to remind you why you're here, but also to help you remember the things that are already within you. So the brain is a physical entity. What this means is that the brain is something that you can see, like physically, something that you can see and touch with your eyes or your naked eyes. While the mind is a conceptual entity, that means you can't really see it, like you can't really show somebody where your mind is, but you can show them an idea of how your mind looks, or you can give them an idea of how your mental looks. So like that's one reason. And also like another reason is like the brain is on a physical plane. So like the physical plane is the outside world that you can see and touch. That's where your brain is. And then your mind is on a mental plane. So the mental plane, you can't touch it, you can't see it, only through your mind. So that's where you go for imagination, that's where you go to, like, get ideas and stuff like that. But you can't really touch it or see it. So it's within. The brain is a physical organ responsible for processing information and bodily functions. So anything that goes on in the physical world, everything that goes on in your physical body, your brain is what processes it, and it helps you understand what's going on in your body. But then your mind refers to the cognitive processes that happen on the mental, which is like a result of the processing that's going on in the physical. So like every time your brain processes something, it sends it to the mind. So the mind is what interprets it and makes you understand it better. Because like your again, your brain is only bound by physical laws. So that means your brain only can interpret things in the physical world. So like every time you feel something in the physical, or every time your brain senses something in the physical, it sends it to you in your physical body. But then your mind is what interprets it and helps you understand that. The brain controls a wide range of functions like in your body. So thinking, memory, learning, and language, they're all connected to the brain. So like the brain is on that's in charge of that. And then your mental mostly processes how you feel about different things. Also, the mental helps you perceive different things. So the mental is always processing everything that's already going on in the physical. That's why the brain and the mind, they are used interchangeably, or they're used like the same thing, because like they work together. So like the brain is actually the physical manifestation of the mind. So like everything that goes on in the mind can be manifested in the physical through the brain. Also, same thing, everything that's going on in the physical can be transported to the mental through the brain, because like that's the connection between them. So on your spiritual journey, one of the most important things that you're going to have to learn is the difference between your mind and your brain. Also understanding what parts your brain plays and what part your mind plays, because your mind is very important. That's where they can program you. That's where they can distract you. That's where you can like be all over the place if you don't understand your mind. And the thing is, like, a lot of people are scared to go in their mind because like it gets dark in there. And trust me, this happens to everybody. Like your mind kind of has like so much going on at the same time. It processes so much things at the same time that you can't even comprehend. Same thing with your brain. Like your brain is always constantly processing different things at the same time, because like we always forget that we're spiritual beings experiencing this life through these physical bodies. So like what that means is like your brain is here to help you understand the physical world, because your mind is not really from the physical world. So your brain is what helps you see the physical world and actually like interpret it. Because like you don't really see with your eyes, you see through your eyes, because like your eyes just pick up different images and different lights and sends it to your brain, and then your brain sends it to your mind, so you interpret it and you're like, oh, so this is this, or this is what this means. So that's why they work together. But also like there's just like so much going on in the physical that like truly your brain can't think about all of that at the same time. That's why if you don't really pay attention to your brain or pay attention to your mind, you won't really notice these things. So since your brain is from the physical plane, that means your brain can only process everything that's going on in the physical, and like your mental only processes everything that's going on in the mental. That means you have to understand how the different planes of existence work, because like your brain is bound to physical laws. So anything in the physical world is bound to physical laws. That's why you have to follow the rules. So like in the physical plane, that you're bound by time and space. So basically you only think about whatever you're doing in the moment. You can only control whatever you're doing in that moment. But then the mental plane is not from the physical, so it's not really governed by physical laws. That's why in your mind you can think about the future, the past, and the present at the same time, because like the mind is not really controlled by physical laws. So that means it's not controlled by time and it's not controlled by space. So but then when you understand these things, it helps you, like, improve your reality, but also it helps you understand yourself, because like a lot of people are so caught up in the physical. That's why they are controlled by their brains. They're controlled by the brains, but then the brain just acts. The brain just sends signals. Like the brain just sends signals. It doesn't really know much. But then your mind, that's the key. Like the mind, you have to also understand the mind, because like the mind is always processing different things. But if you don't understand it, you're going to be confused. But also like the brain doesn't really understand that you have these other bodies. So every time you get like signals in your body, whether like that's a gut feeling or stuff like that, or when your spirit is sensing different energies around you, your brain and your physical body always interprets it like as anxiety, or it interprets it in a physical way, like in a way that it would make sense to the physical brain. But it can't really process things going on in other planes of existence, because like you as a person, you as a soul, you have to understand those things. You have to understand yourself, that you're a multi-dimensional being. What this means is you have access to different planes of existence. That means you have access to the physical plane, that's where your brain is and your body is. You have access to the mental plane, that's where your mind is. and that's where you get to like experience like the realm of, that's where you go for imagination. And like you have to understand your mind in order for you to even understand the different parts of your mind, because like your mind is very vast and broad. Same thing with your brain, because like they all have like hundreds and hundreds of functions that they're always playing on a daily basis. So like every second that you're spending in the moment, your brain is processing everything that's going on in that moment, and your mind is processing everything that's going on in that moment. But as humans, we can't really see that because like we live on the physical plane, so we only process things in the physical world, like in a physical type of way. But so here's the thing. So there is, if you've heard of like deja vu, so deja vu sometimes it's not necessarily that you've been here before. Sometimes it's just your mind. Your mind gets a glitch, like it's glitching. Like your mind gets a glimpse of the future way before your brain does. So like your brain kind of doesn't understand it. It's like what was that? Like why does it seem like I've been here before? But sometimes your mind giving like glitching or giving you a glimpse of like the world outside space and time. That's why people can have visions. People can have visions about the future. They can have visions about something that has never even happened before. But that's on the mental plane. So the mental plane is not governed by physical laws. It has its own laws. The mental plane is like a world of like energy and thoughts, like thoughts manifested in energy. And like you have to understand these things because like you have to know how to control your mind. You have to know how to understand your mind. Also, like you can't really control these two. You're just here to master them. You're just here to understand them. And that's how you understand yourself, because like everything you're looking for is within you. All the answers that you're looking for, they're within you. Like the human body is so extraordinary and it has so many assets that they don't teach us. Even you as a soul, you have so many assets that they don't even teach us. Like when somebody tells you like your mind is one of your biggest assets, it's not something small, because like your mindset is everything. Your mind, that's how you know how you feel about different things. But also like it's just like it's so much, it's so important to understand this information. So the brain is what enables the mind, but the mind is more than just the brain. Like the mind is way more than the brain. Same thing, like you're not your brain or your mind. You're just experiencing this life through them. That's why it's very important to understand these things. That's why it's very important for you to master these things, because like that's when you know how to like access your mind. Because like again, a lot of people don't even know what's going on in their mind, and your mind has different chambers and different parts to it. Same thing with your brain. Your brain has different chambers and different parts to it. And we'll be learning more about this, because like there's so much information to even learn about this. I was just giving you a glimpse, but there's so much information to learn about this, about your mind and about your brain.
Agano gende bulaya, doa somos anguns, neba somos sola.